What's up, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guess what time it is? It is time to get fired up about math. See that? See what I did there? I'm going to wear this one today. So we are going to get fired up about doing some order of operations. So this very last section of chapter 3, we're putting all the operations together. We've done adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and now we're going to do them all together. But you guys remember that when you are doing operations with integers or whole numbers, that we have to do them in a certain order. And you guys probably learned this acronym PEMDAS, where P stands for parentheses, E is for exponents, so something squared to the third power, M is for multiply, D is divide, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Now, what you need to know is that we do these in order from left to right. So if there is a division and a multiplication, but division comes first, you divide and then multiply. So it's not always MD, it could be DM. So these are whatever order they come in the problem, and the same is with subtraction and addition. So if there's like 7 minus 3 plus 5, since the subtraction comes first, you subtract and then you do the addition. So with these two, we always multiply and divide before we add and subtract. However, we do these in the order it's written in the problem, and same with these two. So it could be PEDMSA, potentially. Okay, so just keep that in mind with those order of operations. So all we're doing here is basically order of operations, but with positive and negative numbers now. So if we want to find negative 4 times 3 plus negative 7, and if you don't have your book already, you can pause and go to page 167 in your workbook. If you don't have your workbook, you can just write down this problem and work it out on your notes on a separate sheet. But negative 4 times 3 plus 7. So order of operations says I have to do negative 4 times 3 first, which you know that a negative times a positive is negative. So that will be negative 12 plus negative 7. And now we just add these. Remember, if I have a negative plus a negative, then I do add those together. And since they're both negative, my final answer is negative as well. So now take a second and pause the video, and you guys try the check problem on the middle of page 167. Negative 5 times negative 12 plus negative 15. All right, look at example 2 on page 167. So now we want to multiply negative 4 times negative 5 times negative 2 minus negative 8. So with multiplication, just work 2 at a time. Let's do this first. Negative 4 times negative 5, negative times a negative, is positive 20. And then we still have the minus 2 minus negative 8. So just bring everything else along for each step. 20 times negative 2, positive, times a negative is going to be negative 40. And then remember that with subtraction, we can change this to addition. So we're going to add the inverse, or add the opposite of the number that comes after. And so negative 40 plus 8, I'm adding these two, but they have opposite signs. So we're really going to subtract the two numbers to get 32. And since the larger absolute value number is negative, then my answer is negative. Think about it. It's like I have 40 negatives and 8 positives. So 8 of those will cancel out, and there's going to be 32 negatives left for your final answer. So you guys again pause and try the check problem on the bottom of page 167. I'm going to be looking for those problems worked out as part of your homework for watching this video. So make sure you do both those problems. Okay, moving along to page 168. Again, you have to also be able to evaluate expressions. So if I want to evaluate w over x times y plus y minus z cubed, it's a lot. So it looks complicated, just take it one step at a time. We have our values for w, x, y, and z. So the very first thing we're going to do is in place of w here, put 36. In place of x, put -6 down here. In place of y, put -1. And again, I like to use parentheses around the numbers that I substitute in. In place of y, again, -1. And then be careful here because it's minus z cubed. So I'm going to put that z, -2, in parentheses, and we're subtracting z cubed. So take a second and pause if you need to, and make sure you understand where all these numbers go, where they came from, before we continue here. So the first step is to substitute. And then we're going to do this one step at a time. So order of operations says exponents comes first. -2 to the third power means -2 times -2 times -2, which a negative times a negative here. This is going to be +4, and then we have to multiply it by another -2. So that equals what? -8. Yes. All right. Next thing, we can multiply down here at the bottom. There's no parentheses necessarily written in, but like this division symbol, this fraction symbol, kind of makes parentheses. So when you have a fraction where you have things in top and bottom, you need to simplify the top and bottom first. So we're going to do -6 times -1, which is a +6 as our next step. And then what would we do next? Think about that. We have this plus this plus this. What comes next? The next would be the division. So we need to divide 36 by 6 to get 6 right here. And now we'll just add and subtract in the order that they come. So 6 plus -1, positive, and a negative. We'll add those, or excuse me, subtract those. And our larger number is positive, so our answer is positive. And then minus -8. So every step, you're copying everything else down. You're doing one step at a time, bringing everything else down as you go. And so our final thing, we add the opposite. So this is really 5 plus 8. And our final answer then will be, and you can fill this in on page 168-13. Now take a minute, pause, and do the check problem in the middle of page 168. So again, it is a little bit more complicated, so pause and spend your time working through that, and I want to see that complete. And next to that check problem, write PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. I'm going to look for that when I check your notes. Okay, so our final example is on page 168. It says the average temperature in January in Helsinki, Finland is about -5 degrees Celsius. That's pretty chilly. We're going to use this expression 9c plus 160 over 5 to find the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So we want to know what -5 degrees Celsius is in Fahrenheit, and we can use this expression to kind of help us figure that out. So all we have to do in this expression is plug in -5 for c, and this is really small. Let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys. There we go. Okay, so we can plug in -5 for c right here. So it'll be 9 times -5 plus 160 divided by 5. Again, order of operations says let's multiply these two first. So 9 times negative, positive times negative gives us -45. And then everything else we just copy along, plus 160 over 5. Just do one step at a time. Next thing, -45 plus 160. Since I have one of each, I'm really going to subtract those two numbers. And since the larger, quote-unquote, larger number is positive, my answer will be positive. And then finally, divide these two, 115 divided by 5. Again, if you forgot, I mean, this one is not like one of your facts, so you would want to probably do long division here. Oh my goodness, what is happening? Okay, that was weird. 115 divided by 5. Oh my gosh. Why does this keep happening? Okay, so 5 goes into 11 twice. And then subtract. 5 goes into 15 3 times here. No remainder. So 23 is what you get if you divide that out. So some of these problems you might have to do a little bit of like kind of long division. I mean, a single digit there is not too bad. So the average temperature is -5 degrees Celsius or 23 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is all we have for this section. So just remember order of operations. Don't forget your positives and negatives, what to do with your integers when you add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And I hope you guys were fired up. Don't make me use this on you. Alright, and I will see you guys next time in chapter 4. This is the last video for chapter 3. So, you guys have probably a couple weeks without videos, or at least a week. Maybe sometime next week. Alright, don't forget to comment down below what you think about the order of operations, and like and subscribe and all that jazz. Whatever. Have a good night, guys.